Hello everyone, welcome to Affairs Cloud. On the 9th of March, a Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource Development had submitted its report to the Rajya Sabha. One of the important points given in the report was that more than 40% of schools in our country don't have playgrounds or electricity connection. Now, in this video, let's take a look at the report submitted by the committee in detail. So, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource Development, in its report on the 2020 to 21 demand for grants for school education that it had submitted to the Rajya Sabha, had identified in the report shortfalls in budgetary funding and utilization that resulted in critical infrastructure gaps in schools throughout the country. Also, the committee had noted in the report that almost half of the government schools in the country didn't have electricity or playgrounds. Now, let's take a short look at what a parliamentary standing committee means. So, a parliamentary standing committee is a committee that consists of members of parliaments, MPs, and it is a permanent and regular committee, and it is constituted from time to time according to the provisions of an Act of Parliament. The parliamentary panel had noted that the budgetary allocations had seen a 27% cut from the proposals that were made by the School Education Department. Now, the proposals were made for an amount of 82,570 crores, out of which only 59,845 crores were allocated. The panel, noting 27% reductions for both central as well as centrally sponsored schemes, had accordingly recommended that these core schemes get additional funds at the revised estimates stage. So additional funds were recommended at the revised estimate stage. So briefly explaining, a central scheme is a scheme that is initiated and completely sponsored by the union government, whereas a centrally sponsored scheme is a joint scheme that is taken care of by both the union government as well as the respective state government. So the fund for the scheme is shared by both the union and the state government in a fixed ratio. So that is a centrally sponsored scheme. The parliamentary panel had noted stark deficits in the government school infrastructures throughout the country. The panel had supported this with the latest survey data. Now, according to the data, only 56% of schools in our country have connection to electricity, and this figure drops to less than 20% of schools in the states of Manipur and Madhya Pradesh. Also, less than 57% of schools in our country have playgrounds, and this is less than 30% of schools for the states of Odisha and Jammu and Kashmir. Another thing that was given by the data is that almost 40% of schools in our country did not have a boundary wall, hence endangering the safety of both the school students as well as the school property. Now, the following data is according to the UDISE, Unified District Information System for Education survey of 2017-18. The parliamentary panel had noted dismal progress in the construction and development of infrastructure of schools throughout the country and had supported this with data. Now, according to the data, there were a total of 2,613 projects that were sanctioned for the financial year of 2019-20, out of which only 3 projects were completed in the first 9 months of the financial year. As far as government higher secondary schools are concerned, a total of 1,021 classrooms were sanctioned, out of which none had been built by the time of 31st of December 2019. And funds were sanctioned for the construction of 1,343 laboratories, out of which only 3 laboratories had been built. Again, funds were allocated and sanctioned for the construction of 135 libraries and 74 rooms for co-curricular and extracurricular activities. And out of these sanctioned 135 libraries and 74 rooms, none had been built, with just 3 months left in the financial year. That is, within the 9 months of the financial year, none of these were built. The data has been far more forgiving in terms of government secondary schools, with 70 to 75% of sanctioned projects having been constructed by the time of December. But when it comes to projects or facilities that are aimed at disabled students, for example, construction or facilitation of ramps and special toilets, less than 5% of the sanctioned projects had been completed. The data with respect to government primary schools has been very promising, with out of the sanctioned projects, 90 to 95% of the projects were completed by the time of December. Now, when it comes to the Samagra Shiksha scheme, which is an overarching scheme that holistically covers education from preschool to class 12th, only 71% of the revised estimates were spent by the time of 31st of December 2019. Now let's take a look at some of the recommendations that are given by the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Now, the panel had recommended that the concerned departments to look into the factors that are currently impeding the infrastructural development and also to resolve them at the earliest. Also, it was recommended that the union government replicate the model of those state governments which have already done well in creating and maintaining better infrastructure and facilities of their respective state government schools. It was also recommended that the Human Resource Development Ministry, HRD Ministry, collaborate with the MGNREGS, that is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, a scheme that aims to provide 100 days of guaranteed employment to the rural poor in order to construct boundary walls. And also it was recommended that the HRD Ministry work with the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy in order to solve the problem of lack of electricity by switching to renewable sources of electricity such as installation of solar panels and etc. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked our video. Please leave your feedback in the form of comments and please remember to subscribe to our channel. Now Affairs Cloud will soon be uploading daily current affairs video, so please stay tuned.